Afternoon, guys. So we're having another deck Lanai build video. Thought it was going to be a while before I did another one of these, but the boss reprioritized my priorities to make me do something else before the other things. Anyway, continuing on with the deck. So this is going to be part 7, and basically we're going to take this into this. So thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe, and let's get to work. So this was pretty much a disaster. Yeah, my plan for temporarily holding the tarp didn't really work out. As you can see, the 2x4s even got ripped out right there where the screws are. I didn't have this thing super secure, and we ended up having a couple really strong storms. So both sides basically just got ripped out. Excuse me. Yeah, so I'm gonna do it right now. So as you saw in that video, the tarp that I had put up in the last deck build video, which was supposed to be the temporary until I got this tarp in, it didn't last. So it basically, like I said in the previous clip, we had a couple good-sized storms come in and just filled up and just, had hundreds of gallons dropping on the deck. So this is the new setup that I did. So let me flip the camera around. So as you can see, I basically have rafters going all the way up to the ridge beam now, every 4 feet, and they're going over the top instead of before I kind of had them, angled up from the side here. This is a new tarp. The old tarp had a lot of the eyelets ripped out, so I wasn't even able to fully secure it. These rafters are actually anchored in with hurricane ties. So if you see up there, you can see the hurricane tie. So this is actually a semi-permanent temporary setup. And what I did here is the corner that would normally be up there, I just looped it back and I hooked it on here. So that way there's nowhere really for water to pool up at all. And it's been like this for several weeks now, and we haven't had any issues when we've had storms come through. So this is how it will be until we put an actual roof on it. Oh, hi Jerry. So as you can see, we got a little bit of patio furniture. And a better look at the railing. So basically what I'm doing, this is a rail kit. It's a composite railing and it has aluminum balusters. This is a kit that we got at Lowe's. And it was a 6-foot kit, so it's made to go, if you have 6 foot on center posts, it fits in between those 4x4s, which we don't have, so I ended up doing this. I basically took 2x6s and I made a box with a center to space it out. Gives us a nice spot too where you can set a drink, or we can set, my wife can set plants there, or whatever we decide to do. So this section here is the narrowest section. Oh, wrong one, meant to hit widescreen mode. So this is the narrowest section. These were supposed to all be spaced 8 feet out, but it's 8 foot from the corner to this post and 8 foot from the corner to that post. So because they're 6x6s, this actually ended up being like 7.5 feet, something like that. So this one's a little bit narrower. As I continue to build around, these pieces that I build are going to end up being a little bit bigger. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 more sections. And then, of course, stairway. And then this will also be a stairway. All right, so this process starts with these 2x6s here. Basically, I need to break these down into the size pieces that I'm going to be using. So the railing support blocks or sections that I'm building, they're 36 inches tall, and then they're varying widths depending on the spacing, between the posts. So basically what I'm doing is the railing kit is 68¼ inches, I believe it is. So I'm just subtracting that measurement from the measurement between the posts, dividing it by 2, and building the 2 boxes. But the one thing that's the same about all of them is the 36-inch height. So I'm going to start processing all this until I get all my pieces. All right, so in the first step, you saw me breaking down this material to 36-inch pieces. So for the next step, when you're doing stuff like this where you're making essentially a lot of the same thing, you want to try to use jigs. A jig is basically a tool which could be anything like a 2x4 and a clamp. Just so if you're going through repetitive cuts where they're all the same, you could do it more quickly and efficiently. So basically what I did is I set up a 2x4 here as a stop. I'm doing my 45 degree cuts, which will be where the sides all come together with 45 degree. So basically that's what I'm doing right now. So I can take my piece, slide it on here, cut it, flip it, slide it on, cut it, and then do this more quickly. Okay, so now I have all the 45s cut on all the ends. So the last step of the process is to cut off the sides to bring this down to 5 inches. So this is a 2x6. It's roughly 5½ inches. So I'm basically cutting 1/4 inch off either side. All right, so I went up front and I got my measurements. So these are my posts, all the way around. Center section is done already. So I got my measurements of what these are. The 2 sides actually ended up being the same, 85 and 7/16 in between the posts. So I'm going to end up needing to make a 8½ inch spacer for each side. For this section here, this was off by about 1 inch or so. So it'll end up being an 11-inch spacer on these 2, and then a 11½ inch spacer on these 2. So now I have to start cutting the tops and bottoms. All right, so one thing that I wasn't anticipating, which I knew, but I guess I didn't really think about. So the larger sections in the front, the basically front 2 sections on either side of the section I have done already, are the widest sections. And I'm going to end up having to do basically an 11 or an 11½ inch spacer. So my 2x6s that I bought for this obviously won't work. I had this 2x10 cutoff piece laying around, so I cut it down to 8¼ which is what I need to get the 11½ inches. So I'm gonna have to pick up a 2x10 to be able to do those 4 spacer sections on the front. So I'm gonna focus on the other ones for right now. Okay, I have all of the material processed for the 4 sets of spacers for the basically the sides of the deck, those sets of railings. These were the ones with the 8½ inch spacer blocks, basically is what it is. So I have all my end pieces, my vertical pieces, that's top and bottom. sides, centerpieces. So now I just need to put all these together, and then these ones can get painted. All right, and that is the first 4 pieces done. The last step on this is to hit the forward edges with the router. So I'm basically putting the same bevel on it as what I did on the 6x6 posts when I built the deck, but it will only be on the top edge, the front, and then the front. So the bottom and the side that gets mounted to the post, I don't do the bevel on. So I need to put the bevels on these and then start painting. So I waited till a little later in the afternoon until my laser would show up really nice. And I lined it up basically on the top. See right there. See, this side is about 1/8 of an inch high, but that's okay. I basically use the laser so that I can mark out all of the posts with a line. So once I start putting these on, everything will be level. Cool. Okay, so I have these next pieces painted up. They have 2 coats of the primer stainer, or sealer stainer, waterproofing stain and sealer, and then 1 coat of the house paint. After they're installed, we'll end up doing another coat of house paint on them because I'll go in and I'll fill in, little nail holes and stuff like that with the silicone, or the paintable silicone caulking. So these are ready to get installed up on the deck. All right, so I have my spacer pieces up here. I have 2 of the rail kits, clamp, my impact driver, and screws. So it's just a matter of assembling these. I'm going to go off of my marks that I left, or that I did the other night, and then basically just install all of these spacers, and then once those are up, I can start putting the railings on. So this is going to be this side and that side over there. I still haven't made the spacers for these front 2 sections yet because those are the bigger ones. If you were paying attention in the time lapse, you see how easily these things like fall apart because there's nothing really holding them together. It's just everything is loose, So yeah, they actually came apart 2 different times when I was trying to get it into the side bracket. So comical. Like I always said, that's why I like time lapses, because you don't hear all the cussing. All right, so once these are in, there's actually a screw that comes in from the side here. So you secure the railing inside here so it doesn't move around. And then there's a closeout cap that goes over the whole thing. So this one is pretty much done. I got to put those side rails in, put the caps on. Then I'll fill all these screw holes with caulking, and then this will get another coat of paint. I'm also running a bead of caulk, along the seam here and on the top. So 1 more section down. Hi, Hati. So that's what it looks like with the little cover plate on there. So now just to do the other side. Oh wait, I already did it. So we got the two sides done now. So I have to start working on building the spacers for the front here. Now these ones are going to end up being the widest. They're about 11 inches. So these ones were 6. These ones were 8.5. These ones will be 11. And they don't all match, but it's balanced because those are 11, those are 11, those are 8.5, those are 8.5. So, and it's cool. It gives us, like I said, space to put little plants, candles, whatever. So I kind of like it. A lot of times you'll see railing kits like this where they'll actually put a board across the entire top just so there's a spot to like set drinks and whatever. But we wanted it to kind of go from chunky to slim. I don't know, that sort of a transition. So I think it looks pretty good so far. Are you happy, Skull? Okay, I have the next set of the larger spacers built. So I still have to router the edges on these, the top and forward edge, and then of course paint them. So you guys get to skip the boring part. All right, so I have these last sets of spacers painted up, and so they are ready to get installed. And I got the rail kits up here. So getting ready to put these things on, and then this project will be wrapped up. The railings anyway. You know, there's still work that's going to be done on the porch. Got to make stairs, and eventually down the road put an actual roof on this. So let me get to it. All right, so all of those are up, and I realized I didn't really show like what's in this kit. So this is a kit that we bought at Lowe's over at Kona side. Hey, don't eat that. Hi. So this is a kit that we bought at Kona side. It's a composite railing, and then the balusters are aluminum. So the pipes in between. So these are actually aluminum, and then composite, you know, on the top and bottom railings. So in this kit, it comes with everything. If you look at the diagram here, so this is made to go on 4x4 posts that are 6 feet on center. So the railing itself is actually a little less than 6 feet, but it comes with everything in. So yeah, 68 inches says right there. But it comes with everything in, so it has these little pieces on the end that you slide over and then screw in. So when you open this up, you have your, come on, stay open. There we go. So you have your top and bottom rails, you have all the balusters, and then these are the little caps that come in. So they have a cover plate, which I think I showed that before. And it's basically 4 screws that go in, and these things only go one way, so the top and bottom rails both have the same profile and fit on there. So I'm gonna get started on getting these on to finish this up. Okay, so here's all the hardware pieces separated. You get 2 different size screws, which are these right here. So the long screws are the ones that go through these into the post, and then the short screws actually come in from the side. If you see here, there's a little side cutout, and then you screw that into the railing once it's in place. So when you're putting these on, usually I start by mounting the first one, and I pretty much just eyeball it. I basically put it flush with the bevel and then centered. And then from there, you have to assemble your railing, put it together, and then I get the distance for the bottom one by you know, squeezing the top and bottom rail together with the balusters in it. And then I screw that one in place. It's a little tricky to do by yourself, but I mean, I've been doing it, so it can be done. And then one thing you have to remember is when you're putting this on, if you're spacing, so my spacing, I only left about a 1/4 inch, if I can show this. So I only left about a 1/4 inch spacing in between on here. So you want to slide your cap on before you go to put this side on. That way you're going to have a hard time putting it on otherwise. So you slide the cap on, move your end over, slide the cap back, and then screw it in. Okay, this one is up. So the last step, like I said, is to put one of these short screws into these side holes here. And what I do, which I don't know if this is necessary or not, but I usually slide the top and bottom both to one side or the other, just so it's, you know, even and at the same spot. So I'll slide this all the way to the side. I'll get these screwed in, and then I can get the top caps on, and then get started on the last one. And these are all self-tapping screws that come with this kit, so makes it nice. And these ones you just want to put in snug. You don't want to crank them down because it'll actually pull the screw through there. All right, on to the very last section. This one I actually just put the top one in on both sides already, and then I'll put the balusters in and just move them up. I realize I could probably just measure this and make it a lot easier, but I'm already on the last one, so finish strong. And that's it. So now just a little bit of cleanup. Railings are all done. So the one thing that I don't like about this kit is this little piece here. So this is a little support piece. It's supposed to go down on the bottom in the middle, which like right there. Oops, you can actually see. Thanks for the noise. So you can actually see that I installed one there, but they don't fit. So there's a little plastic, it's supposed to be like a friction fit piece that gets screwed to the bottom of this, and then this slides over that. I'm sure this works fine if you buy the entire system, you know, the posts and everything that go with this system, then it's all pre-measured, and that's why they do this. But if you're adding it onto an existing railing, this thing is about ½ an inch too short to actually support my railings. So what I'll probably end up doing is getting a 2x2 or, you know, 1x1 if I can find it, or I'll just make it a piece of wood. I'll paint it white, and then I will just measure it to the right length and put it up under there. But other than that, all the railings are done. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up the railing video for the Lanai deck build. I want to say that this will be the last deck build video for quite a while until we get ready to do the roof, but I thought the last one was going to be the last video. So anyway, the railing is up now, and you know, it looks awesome. Really happy with it. The last thing that I need to do is just you know, go over the seams and the screw holes with some caulking, and then do one more little touch-up paint on everything. So, but it's all good, turned out great. I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video. Aloha.